Welcome back to Out of the Park Baseball 26 and the 2026-2027 offseason for the Baltimore Beeholes. We made the playoffs again, but this time we lost in the division series. And we're looking to make another strong run next year. We won 93 games, which is an improvement over 86, which we won in our first year. And right now I just want to take a look at who the available players are with the bad personalities and how our team kind of stacks up against what it could be if we played everything perfectly. So if we move over to catcher, we see we've got the guy. We've got Henry Davis. None of these other catchers are amazing defensively. And so despite the fact that Henry Davis does not have the best defense, this is not typically the kind of catcher I'm going to field, he's fine. If we move over to first base, and we've got to scroll up because there's more of them, we see that Tristan Casas, he's probably preferable to have over Bryce Harper, even though Bryce Harper's honestly a better hitter. He is declining just a little bit. We see his power dipping, but his contact is still strong and his eye is still strong. He's going to hit a lot of extra base hits. Yeah, if we were only playing the 2027 season, there's an argument to be made for Bryce Harper, but going forward, we have our first choice. If we move to second base, obviously we've got the magnificent Jackson Holliday. Looking over at third, we have the aging Manny Machado, but he's also right up there at the top. I'm not familiar with this player on the Guardians, but I did take a peek at what it would take to acquire him, and they just absolutely do not want to give him up. So we probably have the best choice we could have for now at third base. And Zach Geloff might actually be a decent choice if he finally finishes his development. We can have him replace Machado as Machado declines. Moving over to shortstop, there is a little bit of discrepancy. Ignore the Jackson Holliday rating. That's not real. Carson Williams, probably the best guy. He's also very young. And honestly, there's just no chance of getting him. He's an extremely valuable player. But we've got Mason Wynn. We've got the next best thing. So I give us an A on this. I mean, we're right there. It gets a little more complicated as we move into the outfield. If we're talking left fielders, you want to have Corbin Carroll. Probably impossible for us to get. Same thing with Roman Anthony. And I checked on Jarren Duran, and he is not really gettable either, even though he's 30 years old. But we've got Lars Nootbaar, who stacks up there fairly well. But it does show that we do have just a little bit of a weakness in left field. If we move to center field, we've got the guy once again. Corbin Carroll, Jackson Holliday, not really center fielders. Kyle Tucker, he's a right fielder. He's not really defensively a center fielder. And so having Brenton Doyle, he is better than Jarren Duran at that position. And the only argument you could make is for Kyle Isbell. But Brenton Doyle's hitting him pretty good right now. And I just think he is my first choice. But as we move to right field, that's where things begin to look a little shaky. Clearly, Corbin Carroll, Roman Anthony, Kyle Tucker, Jarren Duran, all better right fielders. Lars Nootbaar is not. This rating just shows because he's a better hitter. And it does turn out it probably would have been best to keep Kyle Isbell. I just didn't believe in these hitting ratings at all with him having no power. The right field defense, though, has been very good. And Griffin Conine has lost a step in right field and is not exactly who you want if you had your choice. And there may be a prospect or two coming up somewhere in the minors who could replace him eventually. But right now, right field is really our sticky spot. If we move to starting pitchers, Tarek Skubal, Logan Webb, Grayson Rodriguez, all of these high potential guys. The only guys who are somewhat in their league are both much older and also very difficult to get. A couple considerations would be to try to get hold of Ben Brown or Ranger Suarez. Ben Brown's nearly impossible to get. I would have to give up Logan Webb for him, and I'm just not ready to do that. And then Ranger Suarez, let's go ahead and see how easy he is to acquire. Why did that not... That is interesting. It didn't just put his name in there like it should have. Oh, pending free agent. Okay, well, we might get a crack at him then. That's right. He was on the qualifying offer. Like I said, Ben Brown's impossible, but we do have David Peterson. And this is a fairly long list of 2.5-star pitchers, so we kind of have a lot of room to pick. If I could, I would love to have Ricky Tiedemann, but he's impossible to trade for. And if we go over to relievers, we'll see down in the 2.5 stars, we'll see Zach Gallen down there. He's a perfectly capable starter. We could have him there if we wanted to. Tanner Scott, Will Vest, they both belong to us. In fact, let me get all the relievers in this. So we've got Clase, we've got Scott, we've got Vest. We choose not to have Mr. Lucas here. We've got Bizardo, we've got Hicks, and we don't really want Chapman, he's 38. And then as we move into the 2.5-star guys, the rest of our pitchers are here. I would like Porter Hodge. I have Trent Harris. I actually wouldn't mind Giolito, to be honest. And I choose not to have Sean Reed Foley. I would like David Festa. I have Hunter Gaddis. Andrew Kitteridge somehow still a 2.5-star guy. But I can, and I have Trevor Stefan. So basically, I've got almost everybody in this game that I could have to give me an advantage. There's just a few tough ones, particularly Ben Brown. A relatively young pitcher for the Cubs, looks absolutely brilliant. And if we try to make this trade work, he wants a lot. So let's just play around here. Let's go into our 40-man. Let's find Zach Gallen. And if we include Zach Gallen, and if we retain the mini $17 million years of Zach Gallen, how do they feel about it now? And we would have to throw in another top-class player to get Ben Brown. So as you can see, Ben Brown, unattainable for the time being. And I say we're doing a pretty amazing job of getting the best options we can. Salary arbitration's going fairly smoothly. Some exceptions. I think Oscar Colas and Michael Plasmeyer, I don't think there's any way that they're going to sign minor league contracts. But if they do, that's great. If not, we'll cut them loose because they're not really all that important. Alex Jackson is important, though. He's my AAA catcher. I need to find somebody else to sit in the minors for me. And Alex Jackson is one of the better choices. Is he still two? Yeah, well, he's a 2-star catcher now. But if he walks, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but I would like to keep him around. I also think Rhys Hines is probably not going to settle for a minor league deal, but we'll see what happens there. Gavin Sheets may be the same way. As we move up into the ARB cases, we are going to try to settle most of these before they go to the committee. So Brenton Doyle for sure, I'm settling with him because they could award him like $8 million and they could give Casas like 10. I mean, I'm going to lose a lot of money on these, I think. I tried to sign both of these guys, and they want the moon and the sun and the stars, man. They want it all. Casas wants like $24 million 2 years from now. Brenton Doyle's not quite as bad, but getting there. So we're just going to go year by year with these guys. And Mason Wynn, I'll show you. We are probably going to get him to sign a very team-friendly deal. Corey Lee, I've gone ahead and signed him at $3.5 million a year. It was a little under his asking price for sort of a mid-range term contract, but I think he's going to take $3.5 million a year. It's worth it to me to have a quality backup as catchers get very expensive, especially as they get a little older. The rest of these cases, we're going to go ahead and hold on to these players and settle them. Edward Cabrera, though, this is a tough call because he's going to want, getting close to $4 million now. And is he really producing that? If we look at kind of 2026 combined between the two levels, He had about the same amount of time in both leagues. And he's just, gosh, he's given up so many walks on average, and he's given up too many home runs. He did have horrible BABIP luck in the majors and pretty bad BABIP luck. Not the worst in AAA. But he's not a $4 million guy, frankly. And maybe we'll see if we can get some trade value out of him. Maybe we'll try to figure that out. But I just don't see us paying Edward Cabrera close to $4 million to pitch next year. Let's take a look at those contracts. So yeah, a lot of these are the ARB cases. Mason Wynn, 8 years, $90 million. That is really nice for us. So if he signs for that, it's a little more backloaded. It's not all like exactly the same amount every year up front. So it's going to save us just a hair of money next year and the year after. Here's the Corey Lee contract, 3 years at $3.5 million. And the big one is the Gage Wood contract. So we're signing him. He's our best pitching prospect, and I think he's going to do fine. He's moving up to AAA, but we're essentially signing the dude out of AA and paying him, $30 million. Over 9 years, it's a very low salary, but it is a ton of risk. And so if he takes that, I'll be pretty happy. In the coaching staff, there were just like 4 or 5 of those. I needed to grab some coaches. I showed you earlier the coaches are insane this year. So I just picked ones with good personality profiles to like go with the team and to work with each other. And so hopefully that'll help my development a little bit. One trade of note, we are able to offload Cabrera, and we're going to be getting $3 million and okay AAA prospect Landon Harper. He pitched okay. It looks like, decent numbers down here. So yeah, be happy to get a hold of Landon Harper and should be a suitable replacement for Cabrera. A while back, I pointed out Tavian Josenberger as a player who might get us just a little bit of value one day, and that day is today. We're pairing him with Aaron Estrada, who's a positive personality and not really a major leaguer, and then the disappointing Ben Shields, who seems to have quite the toxic version of a bad personality, actually. And picking up center field prospect Cam Cannarella. He was a round 4 pick, but that's a very strong round 4 pick. So he's a legitimate prospect for us. Noah Edders, a decent pitching prospect in A-ball, and none of these guys are Rule 5 eligible. I just double-checked. Jacob Hall, not as good, but certainly fine for a throw-in. And so we're going to go ahead and complete this one. It's now November 23rd, and awards season has passed. Couple of developments. One of my managers left to manage Colorado. I believe it was Bob Henley with my Florida team. And so I just grabbed somebody else, and that seems to be working out fine. We have won a Gold Glove. Brenton Doyle in center field has done it again for the 4th straight year. So pretty awesome. Unfortunately, Jackson Holliday, despite his excellent defense, got beaten out by Andres Jimenez again. And if we move on to the National League, some expected names, although a couple I wanted to point out, not the greatest left fielder in the world, Jahmai Jones for the Padres. And then the big surprise, Ryan Clifford on the Mets. He takes down a Gold Glove with these ratings, so interesting. We won Reliever of the Year. Tanner Scott and Emmanuel Clase were absolutely neck and neck for this one. I think that's pretty awesome. And Brock Stewart in the National League edges out Edwin Diaz. Let's see what kind of season Edwin Diaz had. That looks like a rather solid season. Gage Wood signed his contract. Mason Wynn signed his contract. Michael Plasmeyer and Oscar Colas have moved on from us. They do not want to stick around in the minors. So, American League, Platinum Stick, Corey Seager with the standout performance. We didn't have anybody this year. Parker Meadows beat out Brenton Doyle in center field. And the big surprise, perhaps, Lawrence Butler. He comes on, puts up 6.8 WAR. Had himself a pretty decent season with 36 home runs and an OPS plus of 147. Always nice to see Lawrence Butler doing well in this game. Vladdy's in there. And, Junior Caminero came on for the Rays. If we move over to the National League, only surprise for me here was Alec Boehm taking it down for the Phillies. Third base was maybe a hair on the weak side this year. And Ellie De La Cruz, by the way, at short, had a 40-40 season, 40 stolen bases, 42 home runs, OPS over 1,000. So what a season for Ellie De La Cruz. Carson Williams takes down Rookie of the Year, and with good reason. 30 home runs for him in his rookie year. In fact, not the strongest OPS plus of 116, but he hit for a lot of power, which is great in a shortstop. And second baseman Ryan Ritter takes it down in the National League. That catcher I was worried about, he signed his contract. And Reese Olson just beats out Logan Webb. 21 first place votes to 9 for the American League Cy Young. I think that's a pretty fair result. Olson was just a hair better statistically, it seemed like, than Logan Webb was. And Ben Brown, the pitcher I was targeting because he's so good, we can't get him, and there's a reason why. He is now a Cy Young Award winner. So great job for Brown. And MVPs, no big surprises. Corey Seager and Ellie De La Cruz. It's now December 2nd, and it is time for our international free agents. And there is one interesting guy in here. These dudes are all 2 stars, and they all have decent personalities. But Tomo Inamine, strange name. We've got a scout trying to find out more about him. It says he's a hard worker, so very small likelihood that he has a bad personality, and his demand's so low that I can't imagine he's greedy. So yeah, odds really stacked against his personality being bad, but we'll definitely try to scout him before somebody picks him up. And then we're going to try to pick up this guy on a minor league deal. Nothing special. And as we go into the normal free agents, Ranger Suarez and Chris Sale are the guys that I am interested in. And we're scouting Chris Sale, but Ranger Suarez wants like $20 million. So as we check out these players, you see not a lot of shortlisted guys. And I did double check to make sure no one had evolved a bad personality, and I missed it. The closest would be something like a Camilo Doval with, one bad personality trait, awesome skills, a guy I usually like to pick up regardless. And there's a chance he'll develop a bad personality, so we will keep an eye out for that. Pending offers, Riley Adams, Jonathan India, Will Klein, they all wanted option contracts, which is kind of interesting. India seems like he could ask for a major league deal. And Will Klein, kind of the same for me. I feel like he should be looking for a major league deal, but if he wants to stick around on an option, I'm fine with that. And Riley Adams, definitely a minor leaguer, but again, he wants that option, and so we will give it to him. If these guys stick around after 30 days, I'll be pretty happy with that. I mean, Gavin Sheets did it for us last year. We never ended up needing him, but that's fine. December 3rd, and a bit of a surprising deal. The New York Mets have traded away this superstar, a 19-year-old, to get at least a year of Aroldis Chapman at $5.5 million. So maybe or maybe not a deal I would have made, but interesting play there by the Arizona Diamondbacks. The scouting report is back on Chris Sale, and as we learn a little more about him, he's just lost a tick of velo. Not terribly bad, but could be the start of something ugly. And he's looking for only $33.3 million. So no Chris Sale for us this year. December 6th, it is Hall of Fame voting time. There are not a ton of interesting new names on the list. However, there's a big exception, and that's Buster Posey. So we're certainly voting for him. I'm going to vote for Bobby Abreu again, just like last year. Mark Burley, of course. And King Felix. Andrew Jones. Andy Pettit, A-Rod, K-Rod, Jamie Rollins. And that leaves me one more pick this year. And I think we're going to go with David Wright. That's fair enough. That'll do it. The New York Mets quickly contradicting themselves after getting 38-year-old Aroldis Chapman. They're sending away 33-year-old Kodai Senga and a little bit of cash to the Rangers. It's not even that expensive of a contract for this guy. So, okay. It's December 13th, and we've had some early results in the short programs in the development lab. Mason Wynn learned center field. That 55 rating is fine. It looks like his infield and outfield range, though, have taken a step back. Brenton Doyle has learned right field, so this is exactly what we were hoping for. And he's now a potential 80-grade right fielder in addition to being a 75-grade center fielder. Let's hope those ratings hold. And Griffin Conine was not able to improve his outfield defense, unfortunately. If we go back into the development lab, I did have a few slots open up now. So Mason Wynn is now going to work on his quality of contact. He's got a little room to grow there potentially. Griffin Conine, we're going to take a big chance and go after that avoid Ks, even though it's extremely unlikely that it's going to work. But we got to try. And then new prospect Cam Canarella, who looks ready for AAA, but I'll probably put him back in AA to start. We're going to work on that eye, get some plate discipline going for him. So the two teams with the most baffling trade behavior in this save, the Twins and St. Louis, have battled to the death, and it looks like Minnesota is crazier than St. Louis. St. Louis, they're giving up this guy, you know? Okay. You would think this would be like one of those nothing deals, right? Going to St. Louis is a pretty darn good-looking closer, Griffin Jax. So it's now December 16th, and next year in our division, we may be facing Mason Miller. So it's good that he's fragile. I hope he breaks his arm. Maybe not in real life, but at least in this save. The Athletics, they didn't make the worst deal ever. They got back a decent third base prospect, a very decent third base prospect, and some guy named Thatcher Hurd. So, yeah, we really don't look forward to facing Mason Miller next year. The scouting report came back on Tomo Inamine, and, yeah, as expected, he's got a pretty good personality. He got that work ethic that we were expecting, but we almost got there. Low leader, high adaptability, though. So he will be for somebody else. One minor deal we're going to make here, Cameron Haynes, he does qualify for my team, and he does look fairly decent, but the Padres are willing to give up this guy. He's got some power, he's got contact, he can play the outfield. His ratings aren't the best, but perhaps we can work on those. And this is a beautiful little straight-up trade, so I'm going to see if they can throw in like a 2-star reliever, and then we'll do this one. I investigated some potential salary dumps, and if we take on about $11-12 million of Nathan Eovaldi and immediately cut him, of course, we could get a pretty solid like utility prospect, RJ Austin, who would be probably coming up to high A, maybe AA. And then a okay starter, listed as a reliever, but looks like he could start one day potentially. So I'm going to leave this one on the board here for a bit and think about it. But this is the best salary dump I found so far. We've got like 40 million again and no way to spend it. In groundbreaking news, St. Louis has potentially made an okay deal for themselves involving high-profile players. So they got rid of Nolan Arenado, who's still playing well enough to get some value for him. And they got Jordan Lawler. So good job, Cardinals. Arizona, that was a little questionable. It is December 24th, and the Rule 5 draft has come and gone without anything of too much consequence happening. I didn't lose any players. I traded away my two most vulnerable guys who are outfielders, and we got good value for them. So looking at the international amateur free agents coming up next month, there is a decision to make here. So I want to go one of two ways. I want to try to get Jorge Mora, Vinny Pagan, and Jesus Quintero. So as a catcher, he's reasonable, and they're all cheap. 1.4, 1.1, and then less than $500,000. Vinny Pagan looking quite solid. And Jorge Mora also looking quite solid. But look at this guy. The Wolfman. Zamfir is a great name for a Wolfman. Great defense, relatively speaking. His worst stat is 50 eye potential. His power potential is 90, gap 80, avoid K is 60, contact 60. This is, it's not a once-in-a-lifetime player, but this is a very, very solid guy. And the advantage of going after him and his $2.4 million demand with all of our money is what I have found is oftentimes if you throw a ton of excess money at a prospect like this, they will sometimes just snatch it up and sign with you immediately. So we could take that chance, and what I'm thinking is we could also try that, and then if it falls through, we could go after these three guys. We're going to have enough money to offer all of these gentlemen a lot more money than they're asking for, and we have a good chance of picking up all three. So I think it's an interesting decision to make, and I'll be thinking about that. And we will make that one in the next episode as we tick on over to 2027, as we get the results of our long programs in the development lab. And we look forward to getting back to the playoffs and taking another crack at the World Series. So for your Baltimore B-holes, I want to thank you for watching again. And I will hope that you join me for the next one. So long and take care.